Can you believe we're only like 2 months away from release of Shenmue 3? That is crazy, considering how long we waited for even a possibility that that game would come out. But of course, Sega, who consistently said it was one of the most asked for games from their company, are a bunch of fucking bastards. But people might forget that there was a time when we were desperately trying to beg for this game to come out. And Yu Suzuki never stopped trying to get it to come out either. Now let's take a trip back and remember one of the most ill-conceived moments in video game history, with one of the most ill-conceived ways to renew interest in a franchise. This is Culture Shock. Let's do it. Shenmue 2 had one of the worst release windows that a game could have possibly released in. The Dreamcast was already basically dead in the rest of the world, even in North America, where the game never even made it in the first year, because it released in Japan and Europe, and both of them didn't sell very well. Now, the reason they didn't is because the PlayStation 2 was already slaughtering the system, and the system was basically discontinued. We were just waiting for the official word. But in North America, a little more fuckery happened. You see, this guy, see the picture? That is Peter Moore. He was for a long time with EA. That's where you might know him from. Probably why it's so fucking easy to hate the company. You still associate him with it. But before that, he was with Sega of America, and he was an important, prominent figure. When he left, because Sega was already going through some turbulent times, and he decided, I'm gonna fucking jump ship now, he jumped ship to Xbox. This is why a bunch of games that were originally for the Dreamcast ended up on the original Xbox. This included Shenmue 2. He once joked about how when he was going through the airport security, somebody recognized him and said, I don't need to see your passport. You're Peter Moore, right? And he's like, yeah, how do you know? And he's like, because you're the asshole who gave Shenmue 2 to Xbox. But you have to take that story with the grain of salt that it was said by Peter Moore. So, you know, it's probably bullshit, because almost everything Peter Moore said and has said and will say is bullshit. But I digress. Now, the original Shenmue held the record for biggest budget in a video game. It held that record till 2008 when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out. The budget was for about $70 million. Now, Yu Suzuki has came out and said that it was more about $40 million, but we can't tell if that's true, because he also said there were less chapters in the game around the same time, or cut down the original assumpted chapters that people had heard and were thinking that were going to be in it, and he said, no, there's actually like 4 less. And we can't be 100% sure if both of those things weren't an attempt to convince somebody that it's really not as risky as it probably was to make a Shenmue 3, but I digress again. The reason that Shenmue had a massive budget is actually because they were building the technology to run a franchise on it. See, Shenmue 2 didn't have anywhere near that budget. And that is very important, because Shenmue 2 ran on all the engines that were built for the original Shenmue. That was always the plan. Shenmue 2 failed to meet its modest budget. When Shenmue failed to meet its budget, that was okay for the company. The company could take that hit, because even though they didn't make their money back, they knew that those engines were going to be used again and again and again, so obviously not a big deal. But, yeah, when the second game failed too, part of that is because Peter Moore brought it to the Xbox, a system that really had no market for that game at the time, and that launch was one of the most atrocious in the history of ever. But let's jump forward to 2004. Yu Suzuki pitches to Sega, for some reason, Shenmue Online. See, because nobody explained to Yu Suzuki that if you are failing to make the budget of your game, and if there really isn't the market it seemed to be, maybe an MMO is not the way to go. But Sega had worked with that and actually succeeded before with Phantasy Star Online, so I'm sure they were looking for their next big fix. And Shenmue Online was looking to do exactly that. Here, let's watch a clip from it. Okay, so let's talk about this, shall we? First of all, as you can see, the graphics were going to take a major hit from the first two games. Now, that was kind of to be expected because MMOs always kind of have lesser graphics, but Shenmue's claim to fame, the only thing that it can honestly get perfect praise for, at least in North America where the voice acting wasn't that good but later became endearing because it wasn't that good, is the fact that it had very good graphics. Now, you might not think that and you might not remember that and you might throw that into a sentence that says, I see what they were doing there, but... No, you don't see what they were doing there. If that is your sentence, you don't see what they were doing there. You're a fucking asshole who can't look at things that happened in the past with an objective mind. Go fuck yourself. It had incredibly good graphics, and fans were very pissed off about that the graphics were getting downgraded. But again, an MMO kinda has to do that. It's striking that balance. But I also have a problem with some of the structure of the game. See, the problem is you were supposed to play as Shenhe, Zhu Ying, and Wu Ying. Two characters that I had to write down their names on my computer because I was never going to remember them. And Wu Ying, by the way, because that's his actual proper name, is Wu Ying Ren, who is Ren of Heavens. So if you played Shenmue 2, don't get confused. He's the main character. The problem with this is that you were supposed to have these three factions run by one of these characters, and then players could take missions from them, join those factions. This is like a standard MMO. The problem is, why is Shenhe even a part of this? What is she doing with the... You were supposed to have both good interactions and bad interactions between the cliques. So at some point in time, Shenhe, for some reason, is gonna... It's like, oh, I love everybody, and I'm just an innocent girl from the village, but my motherfucker Wu Ying Ren needs to go get his fucking ass beat. Yo, go roll up on that motherfucker with your magic powers and go beat his ass. And then get me the dragon mirror because I'm such a good person. I don't see how any of that was supposed to work. And Zhu Ying was obviously the female character who ran the what was it, the Manmo Temple, I think it was. I don't remember a lot of the names, I'm sorry, but she feels also equally like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, why does she give a shit? Like, I can at least see her and Ren fighting, but I don't see why she would give a shit enough to be there. Like, but again, this was an MMO that was clearly being forced upon everybody involved with the sole purpose of, maybe if this game does well, people are going to want that Shenmue 3. Here was the plan. They were going to outsource the entirety of the game. They were going to outsource it to JC Entertainment. JC Entertainment was a Korean company, and their plan was to have this company go and develop the game, which also explains why a lot of the graphics kind of changed between, because it was not the same company, and at the time that was actually kind of a big deal because not everybody used Unreal 4 engine, and even beyond that, not every company can just access the engine that a game used. Like, now you outsource a game, you can just give them the engine. Most companies will just do that. They say, okay, we want you to make this game in this franchise, here's the engine. That is a very common thing today. At the time, it was not in any way, shape, or form. So they probably didn't get any of the tools that were used for the original two Shenmues. But they were supposed to show off the game and then give a beta. Now, they showed off the game, but the beta never came, and JC Entertainment dropped out because even Koreans have the foresight to realize whatever the fuck they have gotten themselves involved in is probably not worth the effort, and it's gonna turn out really fucked up. See, now after this happened, this is where the story gets really amazing, by the way. Really fucking amazing. Yu Suzuki came out and he was like, okay, you know, they dropped out, but we promised you this game, so Sega will take on the full mantle. The full mantle. So much for giving a shit, Sega, because I guess you knew. I guess you figured it out. Like at that point, you have to think that they know that this is just as stupid. Because they outsourced it again. I don't have words for that. Yu Suzuki comes out, says he's going to make sure 100% that this game gets released, and Sega's taking on development, you know, responsibilities, and then they outsource it to another company again. And that is, again, probably to cut massive amounts of costs off on their part, or at least massive amounts of risk on their part, because even they knew this game was so fucking ill-conceived. Now, Shenmue Online is vaporware by the strictest definition of that term, because vaporware is hardware that is announced to the general public but never officially manufactured or canceled. And that is exactly what this is, because to this day, Sega has never officially canceled the game. They just stopped fucking talking about it. Probably because they figured there was so little vested interest already that they could just shut the fuck up and people would just go away. And they did. I can't imagine that Sega at dinner parties. Hey, so Sega, you're releasing Shenmue Online? How about the shrimp, huh? Shrimp's pretty good. Tight-pursed assholes. But, wasn't the last time they would attempt this, either. See, Shenmue City was a smartphone game that was, and this is not a joke, conceived when he noted on the popularity of Mafia Wars. Yeah, you know that phone game, that crappy phone game from way back in the day? Shenmue City was supposed to capitalize on that for some fucking reason. It was a smartphone game, and you played a... I don't even remember. I don't even remember what you did in the game. Anyway, it never made it to America, or to Europe, or to Australia, or to any place that mattered. It went to Japan. I guess Japan matters, but you know, if you want to prove the success of something, you have to release it outside of its comfort zone. I mean, that's what serial killers do when they want to test if they've really become good at their craft. Just saying. But it released in Japan, and I think it released in China, and within a year it was dead. And, well, that was all she wrote, right up until that E3 where we got that look. Not the greatest look in the world, but it was a look at Shenmue 3. And people talk about the graphics. But, you know, I don't give a fuck. Seriously, I don't fucking care. The game isn't going to be great. I know that. It can't possibly be great. Because everything that made the original 2 Shenmue games great doesn't exist in this world anymore. They had to build those engines. They were exclusive engines to the game that did things that other game companies just couldn't do at the time. And people give that shit, but it deserves praise for what it was at the time. Now Unreal does everything that Shenmue did in its sleep, so it's not going to be a great game. But for anybody who waited as long as we have for Shenmue 3, it's going to be the game that we need. Well, that is it for our video. That is Shenmue Online in a nutshell. What did you guys think? Was it misconceived? Because I called it misconceived a lot, but I would have liked to see it. I actually love anything Shenmue, so I would have very much. Played it, at least for a little bit. My life is incomplete without a game like that in my life. So, anyway, what did you guys think? Would you have played it? Would you not have played it? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. This is it for Culture Shock, and we'll be back next Monday with another video. Have a good day.